So very esteemed group here, and what I'd like to do is just start the panel. By having the panelists introduce themselves. And Dirk, if we'll start with you to kick off and just tell us a little bit about your company, about yourself, and we'll go through the panel and then we'll go from there.
Right. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dirk Schneider, and I work for the company of Swarovski. Swarovski, maybe some of you are not aware of the brand, has a 130-year-old heritage. We are an Austrian brand, and we are still producing in Austria, so it's really made in Austria. And now I'm heading the retail real estate globally. We have 2,500 stores in 140 markets, and we cluster our markets. In this region, we call it CEIN, which is basically Central Eastern Europe, Africa, and the Nordics, and represents 54 markets and close to 300 stores. And yes, over to you.
Well, if I'm going to Zwarte Terrasse, I see your store every time because I see it's right when you come up the parking, the escalator, you're there, and there's always several people waiting in line to buy something there. So at least that one looks extremely profitable, or at least extremely busy. Angelis, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Thank you, Craig. Hello, everyone. My name is Angelis Benreuter. I'm head of investor relationship management with Kaufland. Kaufland runs more than 1,500 hypermarkets all across Europe, with a strong focus on, obviously, Germany with half of our portfolio, but the rest also spread over 7 CE countries, also here in detail in Poland. And the good news is we love CE, and we keep expanding here.
Okay, great. And Grzegorz, you're the only non-retailer in the on the group, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yes, happy to. Grzegorz Przytuła. I'm a partner at EY Parthenon. If you don't know the name, it's part of EY that focuses on strategy consulting. We work across the whole CE region, but also globally. I myself focus on the consumer and retail sector, which I have the privilege to lead for EY Parthenon in Poland and in the region. I work both with retailers and consumer goods companies. And happy to be here today. Thank you.
Hello to everyone. My name is Wojciech Normand. I'm Vice President of Deichmann for Poland and the Baltics, and a board member of Snipes, which is our new brand in the market. I have been working for Deichmann almost 20 years, so a long and intensive time. Deichmann, I hope all of you know the brand. We are the biggest shoe retailer in Europe. We have over 4,000 stores all over Europe, United States, and Middle East. In Poland, we have 280 stores running. In the Baltics, also almost 40. So a history of big success, great. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, Magdalena.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, Craig, big thank you for the invitation. It's really great to be a women accent as well on the panel, so that's great. My name is Magdalena Przybysz, and I am the Expansion and Investment Director for Douglas. Douglas, as you probably know, it's present in almost whole Europe, having almost 2,000 stores. In Poland, soon we will open 150 Douglas Beauty store. It's a big revolution in the company because, as you know, Douglas is not just the beauty operator, but as well the technology operator. So we would like to really bring all our customers omni-channel well in all our stores. In the CE region, which is as well absolutely crucial for us, we are having another 150 stores. And for the next 3 years, we are planning to open at least 200 in the group.
So quite a lot of expansion plans.
That's true.
Okay, Dirk, maybe we'll come back to you. Tell us a little bit about the plan, at least for Poland CEE for expansion? How many stores or what kind of stores are you looking for? What locations?
Okay, I mean, as I said, in this market cluster, we have 54 active markets, which is a lot, right? And of course, the majority is more on the in the African continent. Like markets like Poland, Hungary, Czech. Those are the markets where we are also operating with own retail. Usually, we have a split partner business and own operated retail. And as we're in a premium luxury segment and positioning, we have some limitations here, right? So, like in Poland, for instance, we have 12 own operated stores and 8 partner stores. And we are not really not just in an expansion mode, but we do see maybe we can add 1 or 2 more in the market. However, I mean, we embarked on a journey 3 years ago where we sharpened our strategy, and we are now rolling out also a new store concept. As a matter of fact, it's the first one is going to be today, actually, a new opening in Galeria Mokotów. This is where you can see now our new store concept, and there are other novelties that we bring into our concept. So we started a new line that we call Created Diamonds, so sustainable diamonds, and we are leading this category. We are focusing on our collaborations with other popular, famous luxury brands that we also want to bring into the stores. And we are also looking into because at the moment we have usually one outlet in every market where we have own operated retail. We are looking into possibilities to also open outlets in markets where we don't have our own retail, so partner operated, and maybe potentially open multiple outlets per market, because not just for us, also for other retailers, it's a very profitable channel.
For the new concept, yeah?
Right.
Okay, great. Angelis, tell us, we were talking a little bit about ESG and buildings ESG. I noticed that you're building them out of wood now in Slovakia, if I remember right. Tell us a little bit about the construction, or just your plans for CEE and how you've integrated some of these ESG plans into them.
Thank you, Craig. But perhaps starting getting a feeling of how we deal with CE and how we see the markets in that sense before I come in detail on the ESG issue. Since COVID, we opened as a food retailer, so we operate big supermarkets, approximately from 2,500 square meters up of sales area. We opened more than 190 since COVID all across Europe. 1/3 of them, more than 1/3 in the CE countries. That's about 1.5 million of retail space. So we obviously love retail. We keep expanding in that sense, and especially in CE. But coming back to your question, when you are an operator like we are, ESG, or our company would call it corporate social responsibility, not transferred it into the real estate business. It's a question not only since perhaps 3 years where the real estate industry was hit by these ESG things, and Hubert especially is an expert in that, where the real estate industry has to deal with. What Craig meant is, and perhaps you'll see also outside some photos of it, we opened last year our first timber market store in Bratislava, so the capital of Slovakia. Why we did this? The thing was, of course, of dealing with new construction materials, not only for ESG issues, but also for having a more choice in construction. Because I see many investors and developers' faces in here, and beside the loans and the financing, it's also the construction cost in that sense, and how you can level it up and down. So that's why we are also experimenting with those new materials, not new, but new concept in that sense. Definitely for Slovakia, it was a new one. So it was a nightmare to get the building permission in that sense because it was of timber.
Actually get the timber, the actual material. Okay.
And the second thing was to get the timber, right? But this also shows us as an operator, you as real estate owners. In that sense, we're both. So we own this supermarket in Slovakia. What's your strategy in building and running those real estate? And that's we are dedicated to in construction, but more and more more important in that sense in running our existing portfolio in terms of energy consumption and so on. And these are real targets we want to hit, and we do also deal with right now. It's a very important topic.
So you've had this timber shop open for 6 months now, or a year now? How long has it been open?
Opened in September, so 4.5 months.
How do you feel with the operational issues at the moment? Are you happy with the way it's going? What you expected? Other benefits or difficulties with having a timber built building?
From the operational point of view, there is almost no difference. It's made of timber, yes. But what I can tell you is we also experimented in a pre-stage with one market in Germany 2 years ago, which was not all was made of timber, like in Slovakia. What we get as feedback from the customers as well as from our colleagues who work in there, that it's not only a nice market to shop in, but you feel comfortable to shop in, right? Timber is a natural material that makes a good ambience, and perhaps we're quite confident with the turnovers, so it works in that sense too.
So if it's good atmosphere, people want to come back, yeah?
Hopefully, yes.
And Wojtek, tell us a little bit. I think you said you had 280 stores in Poland, right? And tell us a little bit more about Snaps that's coming up, the new brand.
I could tell the story for hours, but
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So this is really a new brand on the Polish market. However, not very brand new in our structure because Snipes as a brand joined the Deichmann Group almost 15 years ago. And in the meanwhile, Snipes opened 300 stores all over Europe and other 300 stores in the USA. We, as a Snipes, we took over an existing retail chain, and we adopted that 2 years ago to our needs. Or I should say the work is still in progress because the branches were, in the majority, they were too small for our needs. However, step by step, we refurbished that, we enlarged the stores, we are going to open new ones. What is Snipes? Snipes is dedicated for young people, definitely, so for all of you, for sure. And
thank you. You're like the best sales guy there, for sure.
You deserve that. I told you, you are younger and younger every year. And you know, we sell streetwear, so not only shoes and accessories like we do it by Deichmann, but streetwear means sneakers, top models of sneakers. Some of them are really, really expensive, even for me. And we sell also apparel. We sell clothes, and we have obviously our own brands already developed. However, we offer also the assortment of Nike, the new collections of Nike, Puma, Adidas, and many others.
Okay, great. Well, congratulations on that, and it'll be interesting to see how I've seen some of the sneaker shops around Warsaw that are doing amazing business.
Exactly. We took over the existing retail chain, as I mentioned, and it was not very suitable to our needs. However, we achieved also the financial success last year already. So after 2 years of running business in Poland, I think it's a positive, and we have already 30 stores of Snipes, and we are looking for the opportunities to open the new branches.
Great. And how are they going in the U.S.?
Oh, the first year was very good. The last year was not that, maybe. However, we are consequent. This is a kind of German consequence. We call it langsam aber sicher. So we stay there on the market. We have already 300 branches, and we also there want to have new ones, to open new stores, or my colleagues from Snipes, they say new doors. So we are ready for that.
Okay, great. Magda, tell us a little bit more about you mentioned a lot of numbers and expansion plans, but tell us a little bit more detail. What shops are working the best for you? What are you looking for? What kind of new concepts? And for all the developers and owners in the room, what are you looking? Where do you want to rent? Where do you want to have your places? And what are your expectations?
So I would like to start with the main information that we as a Douglas rent quite big and quite small stores, which with the multi-format having so many brands, it's not the easiest one. And thank you that you asked those questions, Craig, because retail in the last year, it's not just about the space and the location as it was before, but it started to be, as we already mentioned, about the planet, about the people, logistic. So it's really a lot of additional factor that we have to calculate in our profit and loss when we start to think. So Douglas, it's official information we announced few days ago that we had ready in the 2.5 years open more than 200 stores here in Europe. And big part, more than 50%, will be dedicated in the CE region, which is crucial for us. As well, with the new concept, we are observing in details the retail parks, which are crucial for us as well. We are talking about the biggest one, over 10, 15,000 GLA. But nevertheless, we are having a stores of 3,000 square meter and as well 150 meters. So you can see, the difference now, how important it is. But we are having 4 main categories: fragrance, makeup, skincare, hair care. But as well, the services part start to be the 5th categories for us. I would strongly recommend and would like to invite you to Arcadia, for example, Westfield, where you can see more than 100 square meters just dedicated for the services area. The new openings is crucial, but as well the existing portfolio is more than important. So absolutely, we are looking for all locations, and as Wojciech mentioned, everywhere where is the possibility of, extension, rebuildings, we are really open to do and secure the right space for the next few years.
Great. May I have a question to Magda? Not very crucial, maybe, but is it Douglas or Douglas?
It depends on the country. So in German, for the German speaking, it's the Douglas. For people in C region, more Douglas. So,
okay.
But both options, they are correct ones. So.
Okay.
Start with D. That's
I'm also asking very open. What is the correct pronunciation of Deichmann? Deichmann, Deichmann. I heard once even the French pronunciation, Deichmann, which I like.
Yes.
I guess you're letting everyone in, yes, if they want to buy something.
Logo stay the same. At least, the logo type is the same, yeah.
So if you have a shop, you mentioned that you're doing shops even as small as 100 or 150 square meters. So I can't even imagine a shop that small for you guys, but so what is the product line if it's 100, if you find a great location for 150 square meters, what do you put in there?
I will surprise you because almost the same product that we, as well dedicate for the bigger stores. Of course, we are not talking about so big personalization, store-in-store area for the top brands, but nevertheless, we would dedicate almost the same space.
Right. Okay. All right. And Grzegorz, let's go over to you for a minute on the consulting side. Let us know what maybe a case story or interesting stories you've had on some consultings with some retailers, and kind of what are the results have been. And if you can say who, great.
So in terms of names, unfortunately, I cannot mention them. But in terms of topics, I think an obvious one that everyone is thinking of, I assume also all people here, is on one hand where and how to grow, what type of formats and what type of value proposition will allow to tackle the changing consumer, right? To make them choose your store, vote with their money with you, and help you grow the business. One question. The second one that we're working on is, on the other hand, looking on how to protect the margin, considering all the pressures that especially retail has right now. On one hand, it's about the labor, availability of labor, the cost that it's generating, also the minimum wage that will increase once again this year soon. On the other hand, all the other costs and the efficiency. But we also work on some projects where we look at Poland for international investors, where they want to understand, is there space to enter, what's the value proposition that they would need to bring to address the Polish consumer, because consumers, as all of us know, differ between countries, what they want, what they and how we should address them. And not always the answer is yes, Poland is a perfect country for you. It also highly depends on the vertical, right? In some verticals, Poland is very difficult and very competitive, and a lot of stories where we see that international players struggled. I think the best example is grocery retail, which is quite competitive in Poland. But there are also other ones that we see entries as the businesses see a lot of potential both in Poland and see meaning apparel and also footwear.
Right. I was just going to ask, what sectors do you see as being, let's say, targets for foreign retailers to come in? I just mentioned. I just thinking about the American retailers that are so, let's say, so popular in the U.S. They start opening in Europe, and in a few years they seem to be gone quick. Where the other direction, the European retailers seem to be doing pretty well in America.
In many cases, yeah, but there are also cases where it all depends how well you are prepared and how well you understand the local market, local circumstances, because copy-paste strategy does not work. It just does not work. Maybe sometimes it does, but it's one out of, I don't know, 50.
And maybe just a question to all the retailers here is, we've been doing this conference 16 years, and I don't know how long ago, but let's say 10 years ago, I would ask the retailers, well, any new concepts? No one had an idea about a new concept. No one was going to change the old concept. It stayed the same forever. Not to pick on Kaufland, but you guys had a lot of the same stores for a long time. And I think, Angelus, I think when you started working there, the stores changed a little bit. But let's say, why is there this? Is it consumer demand that's just pushing everyone to start shifting in design, or what's kind of implementing this to really making it work? And Kaufland's good because you see everything new; it's all brand new and innovative. And it seemed like there was a long time where they were all exactly the same. Not necessarily bad or good, but not necessarily innovative.
Just an answer in advance, Craig. Yes, it's all the same, but it also have to function very efficiently in the food retail service. As you said, it's very competitive. That's on the one hand. At the other hand, the consumer is changing constantly, ever was. So also we adapted our concept and will adapt our concept to the consumer's need. What does this mean? Going with us even 5, perhaps 10 years, depending on the markets behind. The first thing we did, we came from a big hypermarket concept. That meant that we also had a big non-food department in. We've seen already 5 to 10 years behind, as said, that this non-food department will not be the future. So we approximately raised all. What is not, let's say, food or near food or daily goods in that sense, also with non-food. The consequence then is that that we concentrated on food and fresh food areas. That's why we strengthened also the layout of our supermarkets towards those fresh and ultra fresh departments there. On the one hand, and on the other hand, you have to see if you don't have so much non-food space, the consequence is that you have to shrink. You have to get more advantages in shrinking the sales area in that sense and concentrating on food, which we're happy with. And the thing is, that brought us from perhaps sales area you also are familiar with, 3.5, 4 in the CE, which we can still do and which we can still operate with food, but we don't operate 8, 9, 10, 12,000 GLA because it's not, to our opinion, it's not profitable in our views. That's why we also put into vigor more and more smaller concepts. And small, to our sense, is not a 150 square meter store, but as said, 2,500 square meters of sales area we were very familiar with to implement our concept with about 20, 25, up to 30,000 items of daily goods. That's our proposition towards our customer, right? And we're constantly working on this concept too. Also, how we can shop in, how the customer can shop in our supermarkets. We introduced the self-cashier desks 5 years ago in Germany, now coming also to the CE region, and many stores already implemented. Combined with our loyalty card, this is the great push. This is the great push towards making shopping easier, more personal, and so on. And these steps will be followed also by our online strategy. We don't do food delivery. Why we don't do not food delivery? Because it's burning money, in our opinion, right now. But we have with Kaufland as CSAT, SK, and DE already one of the biggest trading platforms for non-food items, also as a trading platform there with more than 30 million items in. And the combination of those two concepts will constantly be driven forward.
So were consumers, the end of the panel, were consumers just asleep 10 years ago and didn't care about innovation or care about change, and now they've just woke up and they need everything different? Or what's happened to make these changes in place?
If I may comment on this, I believe the consumer, also each of us changes all the time, right? So the consumers who we were 10 years ago, we were different people with the decision-making criteria for most might have been similar, but the importance of some of them has changed. For example, in Poland, in recent years, we can see a significant growth of importance for convenience, that we need convenient shopping. It cannot engage too much of our time. That if we look back by 2 decades or more and look at how people were doing shopping then, even example groceries, the large formats that were very popular after the transformation. Today, this is a format that is struggling, and but not only in Poland, also across other markets, and is trying to find a new formula how they can profitably operate.
And Dirk, just jumping over to your brand, and you mentioned Africa. Tell us a little bit about how the African market is treating you, or what the response is there and how you see expansion in that continent.
Yeah. I mean, before jumping into that, just a small comment on your previous question. I mean, as the panelists here already said, like the consumer is changing, right? And 10 years ago, technology was also different, right? So our customer journey is different, and we have to adapt to that, right? So digitalization, advanced technology is a big topic for us. One of the main reasons, not just to refresh the concept and to bring something new, but for us, the main change was also the selling process. We were selling, or we had the products behind glass, and now it's open presentation. It's accessible for the consumer. So that's for sure a big change, and we truly believe also in creating destinations like flagship strategy, roadmap to really build House of Swarovski. And you mentioned it before, service, customer experience is a big topic. And as I said before, like we want to bring in collaborations. We need space for that. We have new categories that we want to bring into the store, like created diamonds, jewelry collection, etc. Coming to your question, yeah, I mean, Africa is it's an emerging markets for us, right? We see strong potential there to grow, as well as Poland and Czech is more mature market for us, right? So even though we are looking into new developments, we are looking into redevelopments, we are seriously reviewing all projects that are brought to us. Yeah, we really work a lot with data. We filter. We really have to understand what the customers need, and we have to adapt to that. Right? We have customized product collections, not just for Asia, but we also adapt a little bit for the African markets, and we also have to adapt the selling process, the training for the staff, etc., cultural differences, etc.
Yeah, right. Okay. And Magda, Grzegorz mentioned, something like holding on to the profits and the returns, and you go into some of these apparel stores, and there's maybe one or two employees at the cash register, and everyone's kind of on their own, and you go into Douglas, and there's probably 20 young women and men there helping. I mean, I can't walk in the store without six people asking me if they can help me, and if I say I need something, they're showing me loads of products that I'm like, oh God. So it seems like a huge training process, and that you're putting a lot of effort into, and you mentioned services, just a lot of effort into actually helping people pick what they need. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's maybe helping the sales process.
Um, it's absolutely very important process for us. Of course, the optimization from one hand, because it's as well not so easy to build the store process. That's true that we are having quite a lot of employees. What is as well crucial, more than 60% of Douglas employees work more than 10 years in our company, which is good. And of course, we as a company invest a lot for the training, especially, having multi-formats. So having 250 totally different brands in one space, we need that kind of knowledge. And from the other hand, we have to as well remember that retail is about detail. And from another perspective, from time to time, we, sell the dreams. So that's why it's so important, especially for the new Z generation, to give them as well some additional knowledge and different products, because of course Dior, Chanel, that kind of big brands, then invest a lot, and you can see everywhere on the airport, everywhere the proper advertising with really huge name. But for us, we came from the stationary business, so omni-channel is important, but nevertheless we are very strong on brick and mortar, and we still would like to invest in that kind of channel. So the experience are important, but we have to have the proper team and of course a lot of proper stuff.
Of course, hiring retail, which probably everyone at the panel here knows, and is difficult groups to hire. Yeah, these retail people, keeping them, training them, making them happy.
Absolutely, and it started to be even more and more complicated. So compare in the last 10 years, people were absolutely more loyally. Now the market changed a lot. So from one day to another, you can lose 50% of the current, employees.
So a lot of training goes to waste. Let's say you barely get them through the training process, and they're gone. Yeah,
that's true.
I know it's not too much on real estate, but also important to have the right people to be able to pay the rent at the end of the day. Yes. And so Wojciech, how do you guys deal with that? Because I imagine if someone's just buying a 200 zloty pair of shoes that they're using for work and they're black and they're whatever, okay, maybe not a lot of explanation, but if they're paying 3,000 zlotys for a pair of sneakers, I mean, they got to sell me on that. So how are you guys dealing with the labor force in these let's say new shops, yeah, and Snipes?
You know, Snipes is not only the retail brand. Snipes is also a community. So we are very active in the social media. And even before entering the Polish market, the Polish customers, they have known us. So it makes that everything makes our life, our process, our sales much easier because our customers feel like a part of really of this family, of this community. We organize systematically also the sales actions called friends and family. We offer 30% discounts in the several period. The new actions starts today.
Okay,
So,
great.
and I have some discount cards, so
everyone can get 30% off today.
And yes, it works. Actually, it works. It seems to be young Polish people, Gen Z. They like Snipes. They accepted the new brand on the market. We are over the moon with that.
I mean, I get a feeling they already know what they want to buy when they walk in, right? They're looking, but they already have some good ideas and what's there and what they're coming in to buy.
You know, it is really it depends because my daughter used to work in one Snipe store, and she told me many stories. And there are people, there are customers who are coming, trying 8, 10 pair of shoes and buying nothing. But we do appreciate that customers as well, of course. At the same time, we have also, as you mentioned, the determined clients, determined customers who come and ask for particular model of shoes or apparel.
Well, I guess they're trying on 10 pairs, taking pictures of them, put them on Instagram, saying they bought a new pair of shoes, and
Exactly.
So also good marketing for you guys, even though they don't.
It is sometimes like that. Yeah, exactly.
And Dirk, let's talk a little bit about your brand and how you see things changing in Central Eastern Europe. I remember when the first stores opened here, it was like everybody needed to buy a little charm. Maybe they weren't buying everything, but I noticed that a lot of people were just adding charms, and then it's grown from there. So how do you see the market here now for your brand, and what is selling now? What is the big the trend?
I mean, we are not the most famous ones for the charms. This is the other one. But no, I mean, this market cluster is it's very important for us, right? So as I mentioned, with 300 stores, and we have it's a big portion of what we have globally, right? So, and it's one of our most profitable market clusters that we have worldwide. And it's also very diverse, as I already mentioned, 54 markets. So that makes it also very interesting. I mean, we are generally we see very innovative. We are experimenting a lot in all areas, not just the concept-wise, but also product-wise. And we tried a lot of things like going more in a fashion line, I would say, like starting 3 years ago, and not all of that worked out, right? So especially to give you an example, we had more like bigger jewelry, more chunky, and so on. And in some countries, like especially Asia, it didn't work at all. And so we are trying, and but we also see that like for instance, the Created Diamonds. We have now in every shop in the US, we have Created Diamonds. We're now rolling it out. It also we bring it to Europe now, and we have to see. It's the classic lines. They're working always very good. We are also have to be very careful with the pricing, of course, as we are more targeting now the premium and luxury sector. So we always have to adapt, and but I think that's the key for us. We have also in our portfolio always lab stores where we try new things, product or digital features or whatever it is, and that's what we already count into our P&L. And we need this across the globe to really see what is working and what's not working. And yeah, I think that's the way how we go.
And in Central Eastern Europe or Southeastern Europe, do you see more, let's say, store expansion? I don't know if it's in Croatia or Serbia or Romania or Bulgaria. Where do you see? I mean, from the real estate side, where do you see, let's say, the next units are, if not in Poland and Czech?
Yeah, I mean, in the African region, as I said, like we have bigger plants there. We do have plants also in Turkey, and then in also some smaller countries. If it's Moldavia or if it's Bulgaria, other countries, which is for us pure partner business. However, we do see potential. We call it emerging markets for us, where we want to grow. So just this year we have planned 30 new openings in this region. Even though it's not own operated retail, it's more focusing on a partner business. But those are 30 new store openings, and this will also continue the next years.
And Angelus, just talking a little bit about your operations here in Poland. I mean, I know you've been here a while, but I can see you're starting to do more in Warsaw these days. Is Warsaw let's say, a kind of mission critical place to open new locations now, or are you because you started? It seemed more out of Warsaw, yeah.
Craig, answer simple. We love metropolis. We love rural areas. But the truth is, in the metropolis, it's not only a Warsaw thing. You can also adopt this to Germany, going to the Frankfurt region, going to the Stuttgart region, perhaps, and also Bucharest and so on. Running a big hypermarket, big supermarket, also requires to have the space and locations there. That's why it makes it more and more difficult in metropolis to expand. That's why we also go more and more, if we do in partnership or planning to do more mixed use, because of the requirements of the local authorities, because they say they want more density in their quarters. At the other hand, of course, the plots are getting more expensive. And Craig, and coming to opportunities perhaps also in those markets, what we see is, and Warsaw and Poland is a good example for this, where Kaufland is known that we did our expansion on our own. We found our plots. We did and do the property development. We run our hyper. We own our hyper. That's good. And that's still a good story in that sense. But knowing that, especially, let's call it in CE, perhaps the mature market. So the first movers like Poland was, where the first wave of expansion of shopping centers, retail parks, are now coming into a first or even second phase of revitalization because of the adoption of the concepts, of the tenants mix, and so on. And now also food is in favor more and more of the retail real estate investors and developers. And that's why we can jump into those things, and also with our shrink concept, with non-food, as I explained. And I see in several phases here, like Paul, instead of Howitzer, where we did that. Also Lukas, we just opened in Opole with you, thank you. And also the Warsaw thing was Fort Waller together with Mayland in that sense, where you have to adopt a concept, a new footfall anchor, as we call it in the food sector, but also with family and friends from the retail business there, especially from the specialty stores like Wojciech, you from Deichmann, the fashion retailers and so on, to get an overall more tenant mix. And that's why we see a lot of potential the next years, and also in the upcoming month and years to getting an outlook of that. It's perhaps the beginning of a new investment cycle in that sense. New investment cycle also means that you have to adapt the concepts also of your real estate. And we are willing to do so.
Right. So the timing and also the size and the concept of your stores is sort of in on the cycle of going up, let's say,
Yes,
because
you're
of some of
prepared.
these shopping centers needing to be revitalized. Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Great. And Magda, one final question to you on the you're talking about expanding the services, which you need to be expand then the footprint of the shores. What kind of services are you planning to provide or providing and seems to be the right way? And how much more space do you need in the stores to do that?
So with the flagship location, we usually need at least 100 square meters on top of the, total sales area, means that with the average 350 square meters. But nevertheless, we concentrate more and more on the, flash makeups, quite quick services, because we know we split in two groups. One of them is when, people have to dedicate more than 1 hour, which is absolutely excellent service. And then we have as well some, clothes room, spa with relaxing music, very important. Nevertheless, we as well try to build as much as possible on the sales area, makeup station, skincare station, to really dedicate the customers who from time to time do not have enough time, to spend in our store, just a quarter or even 5 minutes for that kind of services. And we would like to implement that kind of way as well. And again, there will be some difference compared to the online business, because as I mentioned before, people are looking for some experience. So if they are, especially in the beauty industry, and that's why it's so important to give them some additional experience, what they will not find in the ecom part.
And even just showing them how to use the makeup, I would imagine.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great, great. Okay, do we have any questions from the audience? I know we should have probably got a few here, and Chris, we'll start with you.
Thanks. This is a question, I think, for...
Tell us who you are and what company.
Okay. Who doesn't know me?
Everyone knows you. I know, but we're streaming this, so not everyone knows on the internet, probably.
My name is Chris Igwe, founder of Chris Igwe International, based out of Paris. Helped many global retailers grow, expand, and exit markets as and when necessary. Quick question, I think, for Wojciech and Dirk, if I may. One aspect that you're, as big brands, and I'm talking about Snipes, for example, I know you're growing, but for example, how do, let's say, influencers or individuals of significant standing, such as DJ Khaled in Miami, for example, with Snipes, or running around with Kim Kardashian with your products as well, what additional exposure, revenue, excitement does that create? I'm sure it's not a big part for all brands necessarily, but big brands, especially like Swarovski or with Snipes, how do these influencers, these major individuals of standing, support your business to help it grow?
Thank you very much for that question, Chris. Yes, this is very important, especially for Snipes. I think, and you are absolutely right. You know Snipes pretty well, as I see, because DJ Khaled is really not only our influencer, and we don't have like a common collaboration with him. He's our creative director for United States. I think it supports the business a lot, because they, especially the young people, they like to be identified with some heroes or influencers or very well-known characters from the music stages or sport. It was many years ago. However, I do still remember my colleagues from Germany. They told me for the opening of the first Snipe store in Hamburg. Sven Vogt, this is the creator of the brand and still the CEO of the brand, invited Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan came, and 60,000 people came for the opening of the store. Police was forced to close down completely the streets around. So that shows also it works. Such kind of collaboration, such kind of of supporting each other.
Yeah, adding on this one, I mean, well observed. First of all, we changed a little bit the strategy. Back then, we had always a very famous face, like the testimonial for the brand of Swarovski. And as we are now saying, like we work with famous influencers, bloggers, globally, but also regionally, whatever it's important for the market. But we go even further. Like it's a good example with Kim Kardashian. We really developed an apparel line together. As we all know, or some of you us know, that Kim Kardashian she launched her own brand, apparel brand, famous for shapewear, etc., body jewelry, and so on. And this is the line that we even developed together, right? And this was for a certain period of time. So this line expired. We had it in some of our stores. We even opened pop-up stores, and this is what we're constantly doing also with other brands, with other celebrities. What probably not so many of you know, like we are very involved into the fashion industry. We are collaborating with celebrities from the movies with actors, etc. So we designed the Oscar curtain. You see celebrities walking the red carpet, the Grammys, Oscars, etc. So there's so many things going on beside the normal business, and we see it. It's really influencing. It's for sure. It helps us to reach younger customer groups, especially for some markets, and this is also the goal for the future.
All right. And Magda, maybe the same question to you as far as using influencers, because I see even if Douglas is using them, but also all of your brands are using them, or many of the Lancome and these kind of companies always using influencers.
Yes, that's true. We have very, very long history of it, and it's absolutely crucial and important. But as Dirk already mentioned, the regional celebrities, they are as well so important as the global one. So it's good to have, for sometimes the really big name, but we observe it really a lot of, local as well influencers. So that's more than important.
Anglis?
I can absolutely underline this. So we as a food retailer, we're working closely together with national, let's call it national celebrities and national influencers. And I think this is very important also towards the target group you want to hit. Of course, Michael Jordan is a name that attracts many people and is well known in the audience. But for us, it changes also a lot and constantly. And to give you an example, there's an influencer in Germany, I think a 70-year-old boy called Hey Moritz, never heard of, and you would never do. And you recognize it when your son asks, Dad, your Kaufland store will close in 30 minutes. We have to go. It's now on sale. The chewing gum of Hey Moritz. Then you know that it works.
Wow, wow. So did you go buy some? Okay. So Chris, good question. We could probably have a whole segment on influencers and marketing on retail. But what are you suggesting for retailers, and what types of retailers should use influencers and how? There you go. Yeah. No free lunch here.
I
Yeah.
shouldn't have said anything. It's a difficult one. I think as Rachel, if I pronounce your name right, apologies if I don't. It's that concept of adjusting retail to suit what is, and I like the word you used, efficiencies. Efficiencies are what many retailers and brands are looking for around the world. So what does that look like? In their own market, but how they optimize that in their market, and then how do they travel that? And for example, with Douglas having such a range of small stores right the way to big stores, that is very unusual today. Very few retailers, but you're an established retailer, concept, brand across Europe, very strong, obviously, in Germany. So you've got a basis from which to work from. But for tomorrow, it is indeed a very fragmented market, and it has a multitude of components for retail to be successful today, let alone going forward. So I think it's much more complicated today to start retail operations and stores. But what I'm excited by is the fact that we see many entrepreneurs, smaller businesses around the world where the idea of retail, food and beverage has been a very strong one, of course, new concepts, new ideas coming in, and those have been developed as you go forward. So there is no, and we talked about leisure, you can talk about all sorts of aspects. So there is so much within retail, and it's very difficult on the one hand to advise today as to what the best strategy is going to be. But I think it's around the brand or the retailer talking as much as they can to the market. And I think one thing that we should do, so I'd encourage us to do as an industry, we've been through, I used to work, as you know, I was head of real estate Foot Locker in Europe and then again Gap. So we used to operate on a silo basis. We wouldn't talk to our competitor in case you share any data, information, or knowledge that you shouldn't do. But the world has changed because nobody has got the secret to successful retail in any market. So unless or until we learn to talk to each other, we don't have to share trade secrets. We can talk, in code or whatever. Although there are some groups, I'll digress for a minute, but a long time ago with my good friend here, Yvonne, not that I was involved with her at that time, but when I was at Foot Locker with a good friend of mine, we set up what we call the Cross-Border Retailers Organization. There were about 10 of us, heads of major brands, who I will not mention. We got together once every quarter and we sat down and talked. It was a closed door thing. We just got together and we talked about how the market was developing, what we were seeing in our markets, and then we shared that. Partly because at the time, the big brokers, the major consultants weren't as accessible. Each one had their own concept idea that they were putting forward. So what I'm saying is if we can get to a point where we collaborate, but not in the overused sense of the word, to share knowledge, insight, and information so we know what works, what doesn't work, more importantly, so we avoid the disasters together. So just a few things I've picked on there since you caught me out.
Yeah, great.
So I hope that helps.
Well, thank you for that. So we'll wrap up the panel, maybe with a minute from each person here on our panelists. Just any kind of last minute sort of pearls of wisdom or angles we might have missed. Dirk, let's start with you. Just how you see 2024 rolling out for your company.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, fortunately, we're in a position, and we are very happy about it, that we had a 10% growth for 2 consecutive years, and we plan not with 10%, a little bit less for the next year. As I said, this region is very, very important for us, right? And the key focus for us is not so much on the expansion overall, even though we have globally usually always 100 to 150 new openings. It's more on the transformation of the stores, right? We really want to refurbish our fleet, get the new design, the new color codes in, etc., etc. Hence, we are working with a record high capex that is dedicated to do that, and yeah, that's pretty much the focus for this year.
Okay, great. Angelus, pearls of wisdom for 2024.
Wisdom perhaps not, but I think retail has proven to survive. From our perspective, food is definitely one of the major footfall anchors for all types of locations. And while here investors, developers are in here, happy to make many, many more locations in CE, in retail parks, shopping centers, inner city, you name it.
Okay, great.
I would say that a few years back, a lot of people thought that online, everything will move there. But I strongly believe that brick and mortar is here to stay with us. Retail needs to understand the consumers, how they change, and adapt to those changes if retailers want to be successful. And this is irrespective of the vertical that we are talking about, and embrace technological change. So using technology available, of course, in a wise manner in places where it builds value to accelerate. Thank you.
Wojciech?
It will be another challenging year for us, for sure. We are faced with rising personal costs. We are faced with with a still weak consumer sentiment. But you know, being more than 25 years on the market, we we have had our ups and downs, and we have a lot of experience. By the way, for example, the worldwide financial crisis year 2008 and 2009, 2010. It was there were the most successful years in our story in Poland. So we are quite seems to be as a brand quite crisis proof. And I hope for the it will be challenging, tough year, but I hope for the success also this year.
People always need new shoes. Yes.
Absolutely right.
Especially if they're looking for a job, right? You want to have the nice shoes, right?
I will summarize just in two sentences. Absolutely new chapter in front of us. As I already mentioned, we are ready for the expansion, relocation, as well extension. So really concentrate on the stationary business. And definitely we as well love metropolis, but nevertheless, we would like to test the small cities. So we are ready as well to join with Douglas to much smaller cities, which we already have in the entire portfolio, and definitely then can be as well a good direction for us.
Okay, great. And Chris, what do you think about influencers? Do you see a lot more of them coming out with their own brands and actually becoming sort of retailers themselves?
And what about the Chris Equip?
Kasha, can we get microphone over here? Yeah, sorry. Don't worry, your boyfriend will be okay for a few more minutes. Make him feel a little bit suffering. Make him suffer for a few minutes.
I don't know why you asked me that question, but
well, you brought up influencers, so you seem to know everything. You know.
No, it's fair to say that although obviously using the word influencer, you could use celebrities, you could do, indeed famous individuals. There's a company that I know of who use not so well known basketball players, so in the athletic footwear market, up and coming rising stars, so helping them to become more famous, and probably in terms of the cost of hiring them, it's more affordable, if that's the right expression. So from what I've seen overall, it depends on the sector. I think in the athletic footwear and in the fashion industry, but more the premium to luxury, where they are taking on creative directors, they are taking on specialist roles, which may or may not last very long for the individuals because the requirements are so high of performance and success, even by a celebrity or an influencer standard. And of course, they are, I'm sure most of you would agree, emotionally, there can sometimes be a disconnect because those celebrities, influencers, whatever you want to call them, have a vision of themselves, and it may not be the same vision of the retailer or the brand, medium or long term. I've seen crash and burn after a year some major names. I mean, Gap, of course, is a major one. Z. What's his name now? What did he change his name to? Anyway, there are situations where that will not be consistent between both sides, but there is definitely a try and test overall in that, like I say, athletic footwear, fashion sector, and why not other sectors as well to look into it. So I think it's just additional ways of getting their followers into, if you talk about social media, into the retailer or brand and supporting them in that journey. And then that, of course, if the brand themselves has a good social media platform, there's an uplift. There's definitely a leverage around that.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay. So this will wrap up our panel. So I'd like to thank all of our panelists and for their time and such a great effort. And please, a big round of applause for our panelists. And thank you all for all being part of it. We do have like light lunch networking, so enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll see you at 6:30 tonight for our awards. And if you need any more tickets or anything, talk to Sylvia at the front; she'll be happy to get them. Once again, thanks a lot. Try get a book from our George Mula, who's out front at the registration. He'll sign it for you. Also, try out our LS Coffee and the robot. If you haven't seen the robot yet make coffee, Chris, thanks a lot for your help in adding to this panel. So enjoy.